This week on the Oatmeal Raisin Conspiracy.
Yeah, we've had this discussion. I'll fight anybody. I don't care.
My days don't really matter. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh shit, it's the weekend.
My first name is Travis. Last time I went to Starbucks, they wrote Sean, but not SHAWN. They wrote CHAUN. The people who owned the house before me left it in the fridge, and I ran out of my beer. So
it's been when's Dennis gonna shut up? Is he gonna shut up? Is he still drunk?
No, but I am. Huh?
Craig, do you remember the what you were gonna ask 20 minutes ago before Dennis cut you off again?
My website is jamescullenbressack.com, or you can look me up at James Cullen Bressack on IMDb, or follow me on Twitter at JamesCullenB.
I'm solid.
Okay, go.
Hey, Hank. Always gotta say hello, Hank. You always gotta say hello, Hank. That's important. We gotta get Hank in the get go. So,
well, thanks for jumping on that intro, Dennis.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now go ahead, Travis. It's all you from here on in, buddy.
Yeah, let me destroy another intro for another guest.
10-4, good buddy.
Today, we have the immeasurable pleasure to have James Cullen Bressack. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
No, but nobody ever has, so it's all right. It's Bressack.
Bressack?
Yeah, but nobody ever pronounces it right. I spent my entire life dealing with that. So I respond to Bressack, hey you, pretty much anything.
you were the guy with the tattoos. Yeah.
Hey you, the guy who looks like he might have been to prison once.
I've gotten that many times in my life, oddly enough.
I have a weird German last name too, so I'm used to people butchering my last name, so I apologize for that. And also,
okay.
As someone from getting a butchered last name to another person getting a butchered last name, I do sincerely apologize.
Dude, my last name...
I'm pretty much... I have to leave the podcast now, so I'm sorry, guys. I'm that offended.
Right. Well, that makes three, because I don't know how many people screwed up my last name, and my last name is actually one of the easiest names to understand. I'm like, how do you fuck it up? Really, seriously.
Well, it's so simple. It's got to be pronounced.
Yeah. Right. It's like that Friends episode. We're talking about Chandler's last name.
Never watched Friends.
Well, my daughter's been on a fucking kick, so I've been sitting here watching them with her. So it's the Chandler Bong thing, whatever.
My first name's James, and it seems like every time I go to Starbucks, they fuck up my first name. Like, how do you fuck up the spelling of James? Like, is there another, somehow they do it, they do Jay. Like, who spells James with a Y?
Well, you live in California. You live in California, right?
Yeah, I do. I live in Los Angeles.
I mean, there's your answer. It's just it's California. They're always going to make their names. I'm going to spell it something different so I stand out. It's like, dude, I'm just going to be a normal guy. Just fucking James.
I just think the person at Starbucks is just trying to fuck with me.
There's that too. There's definitely
that. My first name is Travis. Last time I went to Starbucks, they wrote Sean, but not SHAWN. They wrote CHAUN. I was like, how do you get that from Travis? How do you get Sean from Travis?
Well, Travis, not to make fun of them or anything, but you are in New Jersey.
This is true. This is true.
We're in Jersey.
But James, I'm North Jersey. I just moved further west from where I was, so I'm about an hour and a half from the city.
My mom's from Livingston.
Livingston. That
Livingston,
sounds familiar.
Yeah.
That mid Jersey?
Yeah, and actually, one of the craziest things I've ever done is I went to a party in South Orange, and that was the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah, that's.
I literally ended up in handcuffs. Like, everybody got into a fight. Like, I guess they have like two football teams that would just fight each other, like at every house party. And I was like, what is this? This is like the Rumble of the Bronx. I'm like, and everybody's like, don't you besmirch me, motherfucker. And I'm like, what is going on? I feel like I'm watching like fucking The Hills Have Eyes, but with like a Jersey Shore spin on it.
No jazz for the Rumble. You know the rules, ape face.
Yeah, it's like Warriors come out to Jersey.
There are many places that have that vibe, or the vibe where it's like, I'm not sure that I'm supposed to be here, so I am going to vacate this area as quickly as I possibly can.
All of a sudden, I hear guys fighting because of football teams. I'm like, this is such a really bad version of like some English European football teams getting on each other. It's just like a very bad version of that.
I just give it like 10 years and like Jersey is going to end up being like, pretty much like Mad Max territory. Like it will be the Thunderdome.
There are parts of it I think that already are. Like South Jersey.
You ever play Fallout? Because Fallout will just, that's Jersey now. Jersey just turned into Fallout. It's just a wasteland. Yeah. You crawl out of some weird vault. You got a gun and like some Vault 13 shirt on. You gotta I got a Pimp Boy. I'm ready to go. We're just gonna do this. Watch out for the cockroaches.
Yeah, but at least you guys have White Castle. We don't have that in Los Angeles.
Actually, I've not seen a White Castle up here.
Oh, dude, I always go when I'm in town.
Poor bastard. White Castle is like the big go-to. I actually got into a fist fight in a White Castle, so I mean, I'm hardcore.
I'm like 5 minutes from two different White Castles.
Huh?
I'm like 5 minutes from two different White Castles.
Actually, yes, you are.
Yeah.
You're right. I forgot about that. Because, you either go east or north, and you're getting a White Castle.
Hell yeah.
I forgot to warn you, James. We every once in a while go off on wild tangents that have nothing to do with why we had people on the show.
Honestly, that's kind of how my mind works. Everybody thinks that I'm like, like scatterbrained in the lizard brain or whatever. But like at the end of the day, like I just go off on random tangents. It's because I grew up watching Family Guy, so it's like everything's like a random non sequitur, and it somehow relates to something. Like you say something, and I hear the word hand in that sentence. I'm gonna go, I have a great story about a hand once.
Thank you, because I had that same goddamn problem. I'll be talking to my wife, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'll tell a story about something that has nothing to do with anything. I'm like, well, it just kind of went along with it when you said, like, bread.
Yeah, you said something that reminded me of it. Why do I have to explain why it reminded me of something? Like, it's a good story, and you can listen to it. Like, just track the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. It's an interesting story. You should listen to it and whatever. So, deal. And I found it amusing, and shut up. Did you happen to see the preview to the new Ted? Speaking of,
no, I have not.
Oh my
god,
hilarious! Huh? Yeah. Evidently, Ted. He they said he's not a real person, so they go to court.
Oh, so it's like Short Circuit too.
Exactly. Except he's trying to get married, and there's this whole thing behind it. But I'm just off on a tangent about non sequiturs, and then Family Guy.
Yeah.
And here we go. So,
well, because I said Family Guy, which made you think of Seth MacFarlane, which made you think of Ted.
God, yes, God damn it, right. See, someone who actually understands how my mind works.
And I might need to talk to you more, James, so you can fill me in on the psychology of Dennis.
Okay, so basically, just whenever speaking with Dennis, make sure that you pretty much just track the conversation and that you have like ample amounts of alcohol or cigars, and you'll be fine.
That's usually the way that our interactions go.
Look, he's holding up alcohol and cigars now. He's like, exactly. He knows me. It's like
my life,
spirits.
right? It's Friday. That's how my life works. This is my Friday. This is how I do things.
Oh no, it's Friday?
We thought it was Tuesday earlier, so it's okay. It's just how it works.
I'll tell you, like, in my line of work, like, you know, ever since I, like, graduated, like, school and stuff, and I don't work, like, a 9 to 5, I'm, you know, making movies, so my days don't really matter. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, shit, it's the weekend? That's why everybody else is, like, able to hang out? Like, what's going on? Like,
yeah.
It seems like weeks go by quicker that way.
Yeah,
like, yesterday I was 13.
I'm sure that's got to be like one of the worst things in the world, especially when you're trying to like produce and direct and do movies, is the fact that at any given point in time you're like, okay, we need to get this done by this point in time. That time shows up and you're like, fuck, I didn't realize that we were already in here. Did that just happen to me?
That's tomorrow? Well, shit.
Well,
yeah,
everyone's staying all night.
Well, no, a perfect example is I was talking with somebody and I was like, you know, there's like this big thing I need an answer on, and I'm like, I need an answer by February 1st, and they're like, that's in a day. And I was like, well, shit, that's when I need the answer by.
Well, you better figure it out, buddy.
And then like I'm like, because I leave the country on February 3rd, I go to Thailand, so I'm like, oh shit, so like, I leave the country in a couple days. I didn't even realize that. Like, I got to do something to figure out how I'm getting to the airport.
That's speaking of Thailand. You're going because your newest movie, it was filmed in Thailand, right?
Yeah, Pernicious was filmed in Thailand, and so I am going to Thailand. It's playing a film festival there, and the festival is flying me out to do a Q&A and shake some hands and smile and to pronounce my name wrong.
Yeah, well, at least you know what you're going into.
Oh yeah, of course. I did one in.
You're not going in blindfolded. They're gonna screw everything up. I mean, first it's Thailand, so they're gonna probably butcher your entire name from beginning to end, because anything with an L, it's just gonna screw it up. and from there on in, you know, it could be James Curran. It's like, no, where's the L's, dude? That's no, you know.
And the show took a dark turn.
I know, a dark racist term. Somebody called Spike Lee.
Dude, it's not racist. Have you? I mean, I've hung out with a ton of Asian people.
That's how you know it's racist, when you have to quantify it by saying you hung out.
There we go. We're just gonna go right to the thing. That's fine. You know what? You call me what you need to. I'm just saying. Every dude who I know, they're like, yeah, we can't. I work with guys who are Asian. They're like, yeah, most Asians can't pronounce L's. That's what they do. That's just how they work.
But anyways, the last time I did a screening for the film, I was flown out to Australia, and I did a Q&A after the movie in Melbourne, and for the same film. And you know, the audience, everybody, they're like, you know, does anybody have any questions? And the first question somebody asks is, so you're from California, right? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, what's Taco Bell like? I've never been to Taco Bell. They don't have one out here. And I'm like, so I flew all the way across the world for 20 hours to answer your questions on Taco Bell. Not about my movie. You wanted to know about Taco Bell. Does anybody have questions about my movie? Like,
you're an ambassador in cinema. You're an ambassador for your movie. You're there to represent your movie, and yet you're an American from California, so therefore all that needs to be talked about is fast food, especially Taco Bell.
That's why you should yell them, like, look, like, fuck Taco Bell. Let's like talk like El Pollo Loco, you right? I mean, it's like let's at least get something halfway decent, right?
Let's talk about In-N-Out, dude.
Yeah.
Y'all don't have one of those.
Yeah, fuck Taco Bell, dude. That's just a half-ass thing, man. You know, like, at least let's get a better fucking franchise.
White Castle.
Yeah, it's all outrageous at the In-N-Out. I will say though, I'm a big Taco Bell fan. I do dig it. So like, if Taco Bell's listening to this, they should totally sponsor me to talk about it at film festivals.
Trust me, dude. I'm jealous because the fact is, I've always wanted to try an In-N-Out burger, and I live in Chicago, so it's not. I live outside of Chicago, so it's like there's no In-N-Outs out here. I get a Sonic if I'm lucky.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, you're in Jersey. You're in Chicago. So it's cold as fuck. It's windy as fuck. I'm just chilling in my 75-degree weather today.
Oh yeah, no, it's 27 right now. You know, it's brisk. It's brisk. I know on
nice
Sunday
out
we're-
today. I don't know what
Matter's
you're
worse
talking
for
about.
me.
Yeah, I just got a thing today that says we're supposed to get like between 8 and 12 inches of snow on Sunday. So you know, I may not go to
But-
work on Monday.
You know, they said the same thing Tuesday for us.
Yeah, but you
Out here.
people over there
But-
on the East Coast blow everything out of a proportion. Just like, oh, it's
Exactly.
like going to be Hurricane Sandy too. Fuck off.
They started calling it Snowmageddon on Sunday. And
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is the storm that's supposed to. Yeah. They called news channels were calling it Snowmageddon 2015 on Sunday.
You
And
gotta
this
pitch
was-
that. You gotta pitch that to Sci-Fi Channel. That's a movie right there. Snowmageddon.
Well, they
I mean,
ripped that off
I
from
think
The
they actually
Onion
already
from
made
when you
that.
actually had a blizzard, like, what, 3 years ago?
Yeah. Well, and that's the funny thing is, like, I grew up in Colorado, and then I moved to outside of the Chicago area, so snow is just a part of my life. And the plant that I work at shut down. They're closing down schools 2 days in advance. Everything's shutting down because we're supposed to get 1.5 foot of snow, according to the news. Monday night rolls around.
You got a light
It's
dusting.
snowing. Monday nights we got about an inch on the ground. By Tuesday morning, we had a total of maybe 5 inches, and the entire East Coast was freaking out because of it.
Mhm.
And we woke up as like, this is what we are calling Snowmageddon. So if it dusts next time, is that the end of the world? Like, we get a dusting of snow.
Again,
at the
it
end of the world?
automatically tells you that the world is ending. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. You know, it's going to be a new ice age. You guys are going to have to end up like putting on furs, like
Yeah.
And
Next
Go to the
storm is
zoo,
gonna be
kill a
called
whale.
Snowpocalypse.
What you don't realize is you actually are the only person who survived Snowmageddon. All of New Jersey is gone.
I could believe that because I don't think he ever leaves his house.
yeah, no,
So
I will agree with you. That's
It's,
I go to
it's like the movie Blast from the Past. Like he doesn't realize that like everything's gone, and he's like
exactly.
held up.
I mean, if you just look at the screen where Travis is, it's in a basement underground. He doesn't know. He's got like food packets in the background. He's ready to go. He doesn't give a shit.
his
He's
K
like, I got my
rations are
SpaghettiOs. I'm good.
his K rations
Yeah,
are
that-
Cheetos and
I got 30 cans of SpaghettiOs and a
And
I'm
a
ready to
pizza
go.
Lunchable.
I still got to go to work. I go out occasionally.
when the sun goes
You're gonna
down.
walk out of here and be like, "Holy shit, Godzilla's here!" He came with Snowmageddon.
I could only wish that something that catastrophic could hit the East Coast. Seriously, I love being here because this is where my family's at. I moved out here because I had got my girlfriend pregnant. But I also really
The honesty
hate
with that.
living on the East Coast.
Yeah,
Like
no,
I really hate living on the East Coast.
Well,
And that's why I
E2 and like Gen Con and all those fun cons, you're gonna be over there just hating life. And
Dude, my mom was one of the voices of in Gem and the Hologram. She was Rapture, Phoebe Ash.
wow,
And so she was at Gem Con.
whoa,
seriously.
Yeah.
My wife would be super excited to hear that because she loves Gem and the Holograms.
Is,
Oh,
is
you
she
know, I was
being
watching
tapped
that
for
the
the
other
movie?
day.
It's outrageous. It's just truly, truly outrageous.
That's awesome. They're
Is she-
making a live action movie.
Yeah, is she being tapped for that?
What?
No, she's not involved.
Oh.
Wait, back that up. Back that up. Making it into a live action thing.
Yeah, it's supposed
they
to come
are.
out like
Oh
next
my
year.
god, dude! What happened to? I know I'm older than half the. I know most of you guys on here, but what happened to like? I mean, we grew up on things like why the hell are they making them like live action shit now? What happened? What happened? I mean, I was just happy with the cartoons. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that's something that I wanted to get to eventually, but it came up relatively quickly. Your mother was a voice actor for a fucking bunch of the cartoons that we grew up on, and
Yeah.
your dad wrote for a fucking ton that we grew up on.
Yeah,
He was on DuckTale. He wrote for DuckTales.
I saw. Yeah. Yeah, he
Animaniacs.
other shit.
Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Scooby Doo. He won 3 Emmys and a WGA award.
Wow.
What was it? Is that part of what led you to being where you're at now in the business, where you wanted to do?
My dad, I worked in horror, so my dad didn't really get me any work or anything. But I mean, growing up around it, it definitely gave me the drive to want to do it. There's something crazy about that because, like, the business is crazy. I mean, people work and then they don't work, but I just love storytelling. So I naturally, as a progression, my dad made some of the best cartoons in the world, so I decided to kill people on screen.
They did it in cartoons and no one ever got in trouble, so I mean that works well.
Yeah, well, horror movies are like live-action cartoons sometimes.
Yeah, it's quiet now. It's my turn. I was gonna say I was reading your bio on on things, other things, and internet's stuff. But I saw that like you worked really hard and you put a bunch of movies up, but like To Jennifer was the one that really kind of put you on the board. So I mean, how long did you think like it was going to take you to get to the point where you wanted to be? It was like, well, I'll make like 1,000 movies before anyone ever hears of me. Did you think it was like, because being, knowing
are you telling me people have actually heard of me now?
I know who you are, so I mean, that. My daughter loves horror films, so she knew the films I was talking about. She's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that film." I'm like, "Really?" Because I'm not a horror fan. I'm more of a action kung fu type guy. So like, it's not my scene, but I'm not gonna lie, it's just not my style.
Did you see? Were you like action kung fu? Were you Twitter stalking me? Did you see that Tony Jaa and me have been going back and forth? We're meeting up when I'm in Thailand.
Oh no, I did not. That's fantastic.
I actually, towards the end of the show, to be honest with you, I was going to ask you about knowing Tony Jaa, and if you could put in a good word.
Yeah,
no,
Tony has
him about the last fucking movie he did. That what was that? Ong Bak 2 or whatever the fuck that was.
No, it was the Protector Part 2.
Part 2. Why the fuck were there green screens that were actually literally waving in the background? You could have like you had.
I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I saw the first one and it was awesome.
It was awesome.
The Protector Part 1 was fucking amazing. The fucking fight scenes in there, the stunts he makes. I read after I first watched it, I read a couple of reviews that were talking about Tony Jaa being, the next Jackie Chan because he does all his own stunts. It's like he makes Jackie Chan look like a joke. Because the stunts he's doing, he jumps off a fucking skyscraper.
He's in the Raid. He's in the Raid 3 too, which is like if you saw the Raid and the Raid 2, those are like two of the most epic action movies. So he's in the third one now.
Raid 2 is probably one of my favorite films of all times. Raid 2 is probably like my, if not number one, number two film. That film is just fantastic.
It was insane.
Each of the raids, when I tell people to watch Raid 1, I'll pull up on YouTube, I'll find the one scene where he's fighting the guy in the hallway, he kicks through the door, and then he like jumps up and kicks off the wall and brings
and then slams the guy's head through the door. Yes, that's my favorite part in the first Raid movie.
I saw that, I was like, oh my god, that was fucking sick. I got excited. And then in the Raid 2...
Okay, I was going to say, in my head, my favorite part of that scene, when he takes the guy and bounces his head off like a dozen times off the side of the wall.
Oh, yeah, where he's like,
pop, 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 pop. I was like, oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that was
And then
awesome.
in the Raid 2, It's towards the end when he breaks in through the garage, and it's probably about a minute into that epic garage fight where he's fighting like 15 dudes, and he kicks the guy in the head, and he goes sideways and then hits the stairs and then flips back the opposite direction and hits the fucking loading dock on the other on the ground. That
number two is the knife fight scene with the main character where they're actually using
where they're like going like this and they like touch wrists and then they do the knife fight.
Yeah. Because I study CLOT, and I'm actually a CLOT instructor. So when I see guys actually use the knives properly, I'm like, yes, That's how they're supposed to be used. And it kills me when I see other people using them. It just kills me. I'm like, no, that's not how you use that knife. And when we literally like can openers them, I'm like, yes, that's how it's done. That's what that knife's for. That's what it's supposed to do. It's like in my head, I'm like, yes, that's why. Yeah, I spent past 6 years a lot. So it's like, yeah, that's what's supposed to happen.
I watched that movie. I watched The Raid 2 after I had moved here. And usually Dennis and I would watch kung fu movies and martial arts films together. And I watched it after I moved here. When I saw that scene, I was like, Dennis, if he hasn't seen this yet, is going to have the biggest heart on through the entire thing.
Oh, it was near orgasmic for me because it was yes, finally.
That's awesome.
But I wanted to talk a little bit about your work because I've seen 13, and I think I started Blood Lake. I know it's in my queue, but I don't know if I finished it or not. Half the time I don't know what I've watched, what I haven't watched, but I know I watched 13. And in getting you on the show, I've gone through the IMDb, I've gone through the Amazon, I've gone through the iTunes. When it comes to your work and coming from a creative background with your parents both being in the industry and being creative people, and you yourself being creative and having all of these, I mean, you shot a fucking movie on an iPhone 5. I mean, that you shot a movie and sold the movie that you shot on an iPhone 5. So I haven't. Let's see, which one was the iPhone 5? That was
to Jennifer, right?
To Jennifer. Yeah, I haven't got to see that one.
I was going to say that's the one that I saw that really that boosted him up, and just because the way it went, they said it was just fantastic for that fact.
Do you? Because in reading the reviews and the critic reviews and all these other things, and being a content creator, a part of a team of 3 of content creators, where our fans don't fucking talk to us at all. Is it?
Hey! Hank talks to us.
Hank talked to us occasionally, and
listen,
Hank, I love you very much.
I
do want to.
Do not blaspheme Hank. God damn it.
We are the 3 high priests of the church, the first church of Hank. So I'm not blaspheming Hank.
Just so you know, Travis, you're out.
Damn. But being pseudo creative and trying to do something with something I really enjoy. This is kind of a hobby for us, but we would like it to be more. Is it difficult for you to read really, really, really harsh reviews? Because there are people out there that really do not like your work for whatever reason. They just I've read some reviews where it's like, why bother reviewing this movie? If you didn't like it that much, just move on with your life. Why sit here and rant about how much you didn't like it?
Well, for every person that doesn't like it, there's people that do like it. So I don't take the negative reviews to heart, because stuff where they're like, oh, never let this person make a movie again. I've already made like 2 movies past the point where they've already said that. So it's not like I'm gonna stop. It's not like I'm gonna be like, oh man, they think I shouldn't make movies anymore. I'm done. Ultimately, it's like, everybody has an opinion, and I appreciate the people that like what I do, and I ignore the people that don't. I make the movies I make for me. I make them because I enjoy the stories I tell, and I enjoy watching them. And if people like diving into the world that I have in my head, power to them. And if it's not for them, it's not for them. But the most important thing is that it makes them feel. If there's a huge negative review, I mean, that works for me also, because I remember I watched a bunch of movies when I was a kid that I totally hated. And I was like, wow, this is a piece of crap and it looks super low budget. I can make movies better than that. And so I went out and did it. So if people watch my movies and they're like, wow, this is crap, I can make movies better than that, well, then go do it. That's awesome. I mean, if it inspires you in any way, I don't mind. And at the end of the day, I'm fine with people disliking my movies because I'm going to keep making them either way. And obviously, I have a fan base of people that do appreciate what I do and what I make. And That's what matters. You're always going to have haters, and the one thing that I do get a little annoyed about is more people, especially on stuff like Amazon, you'll have more people that will write a negative review than a positive review, because if somebody watches a movie and likes it, they don't go out there and write a review. If somebody watches a movie and dislikes it, they want to like talk a bunch of shit. And that's the problem. There's a lot more people that, like, you know, I'd appreciate it if fans of mine that do like my stuff go out there and write about it instead of just sending me emails and messaging me and tweeting me telling me that they like it. I mean, that's awesome, but, like, go out there and spread it. Tell other people.
That's actually...
Yeah, I'll go with you. I like that. I mean, you know, the idea that, like, hey, if you like it, tell like 3 others, and they can tell 3 others, and then you get that whole like 6 degrees of separation type thing. So, yeah, it's the way it works.
We've interviewed real quick, just because I got sidetracked there for a moment.
Dude, what is going on in your basement? What the fuck are you doing? I'm not gonna lie. What's going on? Are you like seriously? What happened in your house?
In on the theme,
and we don't know about it. What the fuck?
Snowmageddon.
There. You happy?
No, great. Now I can't see your face. That's even better. With that funky like that.
It'll
anyway.
my computer.
Whatever. Anyways,
we've interviewed mostly authors.
Okay, go. Whatever.
Hold on, let me finish my thought. We've interviewed mostly authors up to this point, and they have the same. A lot of times, they have the same sentiment where, you know, having people review your work, a positive review, even if it's negative, but a review period, is like that's the greatest thing you could do, because that brings more attention to your work.
Yeah, there's no such thing as bad press. Any press is good press. That's my philosophy. Somebody gives me a bad review, well, you know, what they say they don't like about the movie might be somebody reading it and going, hey, I'd love to see something like that. So at the end of the day, I'm fine with anything, as long as they talk about it. The worst is if somebody watches my movie and doesn't talk about it at all.
Yeah. The kind of what'd you think of the movie? The whole like the whole
I saw it.
It's you know, I mean, there's been movies where I've watched. What do you think of it? It's okay, I guess. You know, that's probably got to be the worst. Is the non-committal. It's, you know, it's what it is.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Have you ever thought? I mean, I know you do a lot of horror. Have you thought about spanning out to anything else, or are you just going to kind of keep with the horror genre?
Yeah, I'm doing a drama this year, and a kids movie. So.
Oh, well, that's great. I mean, yeah, that's fantastic. I've seen a lot of directors, and I've seen like, you know, see them talking, and they kind of stick in their you know, what they're doing, and they don't really branch out to other things. It's like, well, if you want to expand, I figured you want to kind of branch out a bit. I'll try this. If it doesn't work, well, then that's fine. I was doing good where I was. I'll go back to it. So I mean,
I'd love to do a movie in every genre.
That'd be great, dude. If you ever need like a bad guy for an action film, give me a call. I think I could make a great thug. I think I'd be I always said I want to be thug number 1, the guy who beats up the good guy until the very end, and then he kicks my ass and then blows me up. That'd be great. I'd love that. That'd be my favorite part. I just want to be that guy.
I want to be the that way guy, the guy who like has like the hot dog stand in every chase scene, and they're like, which way did he go? And he goes that way. I want to be that guy in every movie.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Like, you know, you don't have to be like, you know, everyone wants to be the main guy in a film, but like, how about if you just did that? Like, you know, you're in a dozen movies and like, I know that guy. I've seen him in a ton of things. I know who he is. That would be
He's
great.
the guy who says that way every single time.
That way guy. Yeah.
Fucking that way guy.
Yeah, like I said, I've talked about this with my wife and other people. I'm like, if I could do like an action film, I want to be like, even in the credits, thug number 1, the guy who's like, who stands next to the main villain and then beats up the good guy for like, you know, throughout the film, and then we have that epic 10-minute fight, and then at the very end, I get like impaled on a spike or something. But you know, that's like, I loved it. I thought that would be great as a
But
film.
that sounds way more important than the That Way guy.
Right? I mean, I don't want to go that high, but I'm like, I think I could pull that off. I think I could pull that off, that kind of character.
But also, the That Way guy is usually the pivot point in the plot.
Yeah.
Because that leads to the great chase, which is usually the pivot point in the plot.
That is a good point.
But-
That's a good point.
I've always wanted to be an actor or director. But I have this issue with my creative side where I'll start something, I'll have an idea for something, and I'll start it, and then halfway through, I write the beginning, and I write the end, and then when it comes to the meat of the story. Well, when it comes to the meat of the story, I've got nothing. I'm just like, I'm done. Like,
I know how it started and how it ended. We're there. There's the story.
now you know the story. So it amazes me when I can see, like, this podcast is one of the only things that I've actually seen to fruition. It's
Yeah, thank you, Travis, because if it wasn't for me bullying you half the time.
true.
True.
And
I literally.
I had the same mindset, though. I had the same mindset of what you were just talking about, James. I listened to a handful of podcasts, and some of them are really, really bad. Not that ours is, super great.
No, ours is just bad. Not really, really. Just bad.
No, we're just wild. We're not. We have no focus. But that's an entirely different story. But just the audio was bad. The people running the show were bad. Just the personalities were bad. So in my mind, I said, I could do this, and I think I could do it better. And so we kicked off it was called Two Ranting Idiots, and then we added Craig to the story, and it was The Ranting Idiots, and then right before the first of the year, we decided we were going to change the name of the show to the Oatmeal Raisin Conspiracy because that's just a great name.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. The Oatmeal Raisin Conspiracy is probably one of the best names I've ever heard in my life.
So it grew on you?
Thank you, Craig, for that.
Thank you, Elon Musk, for the inspiration.
You guys
you
should do a horror movie that all takes place in a podcast.
I don't even know how that would work. I'm not
gonna lie. I love the idea. Love the idea. I'm just sitting here going, how the fuck would that work out? In my head, I'm just sitting here going.
Would it be like a trip like our podcast? It would have to be a triple murder done by 3 people, but all in conjunction with each other.
Or we all 3 get killed. I mean, it could be that way. Just someone hates.
Or like a demon that possesses people and jumps through the screen to each person.
That would work too.
I like that. That's actually really good.
I do like the technology.
I just wrote
being,
it. Nobody steal my idea.
No, hell no. You go ahead and do that. You just put it in. You can kill me off in the first 30 seconds. I don't care. I just so I could be in part of it. That's all.
Dennis just wants to be in a movie. That's all.
I've been in movies, asshole. I've done extra work.
Yeah, your extra work and your scenes got cut out.
No, I was in those scenes. You just didn't see me. That's what. It doesn't mean it got cut out.
It doesn't count if nobody sees you.
Dude, it was a fucking crowd. What the fuck do you want? Extra scenes.
And you were in a movie with Casey Affleck, dude.
Yeah, and he was so mad at me by the end of it because I get giving him shit. I mean, it's not my fault.
You lost the point of the insult on that.
Brother. What?
I said you lost the point of the insult on that one. But
whatever. Insult everything. Whatever.
Like I'm the horror fan of the group. I grew up reading Clive Barker, watching Dark Man, Hellraiser, the Nightmare on Elm Street series, the Friday the 13th series. So I have an appreciation for horror in itself. Although you're 22, correct?
Yeah, I'm an old man now.
Okay. I'm sorry.
You're younger. You're younger than every single one of us by at least a decade.
I know. I'm just.
Make us all feel old.
Yeah, I could be the creepy.
But
I could be the creepy brother, uncle, whatever.
I've noticed in the last like 5 or 6 years, there's been a shift in the horror genre where it's gone less from the atmospheric scare, the antagonist that's not at all likable, but still you can empathize with him, to like the movies that I've seen of yours are they have a found footage feel to them. It's more straightforward story, and it's more character action driven. What is it, do you think? I'm not even sure where I'm going with this question. What is it, do you think, that has driven that from the old style of people like Dario Argento and Lucio Fulci, where it was more about the atmosphere and the color, to a more character action driven?
Fulci and Argento were Italian filmmakers. So that was the Italian subgenre of horror that was coming out in the 70s, and 80s. Then in the 80s we had an influx of American horror, which was the ultra gore 80s, where you had the really gory prosthetics and all that stuff that really bumped it up. Then you have in the 1990s, that's where it went really paranormal ghost stuff, like you saw The Ring. You wanted the PG-13 horror was really big. Then in the 2000s, we started upping the gore again because of the CGI, and we got into creature features, yada yada. And now it's pretty much horror is a little bit of a stomping ground of mishmash of anything you want. I personally feel that I've never really quite made a horror movie. I just make movies about people that have some violent backdrops that become horrific. And so I never set out to really do a horror movie. I set out to do a movie about people. And I give it a horror backdrop. But I love horror movies, and I think there's tons of subgenres of horror. We saw a movie like the BabaDoc come out recently that's just an intelligent, atmospheric horror film.
Yes.
So I think it really depends on what you're trying to make.
Yeah, I actually just saw. I haven't got to finish it, but I've saw the BabaDoc. Wow, that you the atmospheric, the character driven, the storyline is way better than most of the stuff that comes out nowadays, where it's turn jump scare, turn jump scare, turn jump scare, and I kind of I don't know if it's I don't know how to put it. It desensitizes me. It's oh, okay, we did this again. I mean, I don't know if that what I'm trying to say here. It's oh, okay, it turned, boom, there it is. Instead of trying to build you up to a crescendo of a feeling before it gets to that point. Whereas, like you said, the BabaDoc is really drives you into this point where you're really paying attention to something before it really gets to you. I mean, I haven't seen many films like that recently, because most of the horror films, especially in this day and age, I've seen, they're more of it's a jump scare. It's a quickly, oh, and then makes you go, oh, that was scary, but it's not really, it doesn't have that feeling, and that it doesn't drive you into the film.
No, I definitely agree. I think it just really depends on what kind of horror movie you're trying to make and what you're trying to see. I think there's a lot of stuff out there, and a lot of different genres.
I would have to say, I would have to. I have no argument for that, and also I have no. Not that I would have an argument for it anyway. You're the creator. I can't argue with you how you saw it. Your movies don't have the typical horror feel. And now that you've said you didn't set out to make a horror movie, you set out to make a movie about people that just have a horrific background and a violent backdrop to them. It actually brought to mind a quote that I read on your IMDb page, where you said, I wanted, and talking about My Pure Joy, which I have not had the chance to watch yet, I wanted to craft a film about myself if I were a serial killer. It's a catharsis, really. I wrote this so I don't have to go out and kill people. That's the beauty of it. Everyone is safe now. You're welcome. And I thought, being the smartass that I am, that's it. That would be an answer that I would. I started to write a novel that had the same kind of feel, to where like I was just murdering people. I wrote 3 chapters and 13 people died. It was a very, very dark period of my life. I will admit.
Let's move past that, Travis. We've talked about this many times.
No, we haven't.
Yes, we have, Mr. Fucking.
We haven't talked about that period of my life, not on the show.
As far as my pure joy goes, though, I was being snarky when I said that, but anyways.
Yeah, I mean, why you can't help but read the sarcasm in it. But when it comes to making movies, which do have violent backdrops, I haven't downloaded Hate Crime yet, although I do want to see it. I haven't got to see To Jennifer, and I haven't got to see My Pure Joy yet. But I've watched all the trailers and I've watched the clips that I could find. You do have a very personal, like the friendship in 13, the 2 guys. It's a very like it focuses from what the way I felt watching the movie. It focuses on those 2 guys mostly and their friendship, and how this whatever is happening is affecting them personally and affecting their relationship, and how it affects the entire world. There's a personal touch. Is there? Do you try to put yourself into the movies? Is any of that you?
I think every single movie I do has a piece of me in it. My Pure Joy was all about growing up. It's about a guy. I mean, I use the backdrop of a serial killer, but it's about a guy who is about to graduate high school, and it's about saying goodbye to friends that are leaving. I mean, he kills them, but it's really like it's theoretically like that's a metaphor for you're never going to see these people again because you're going off to college or whatever you do. I mean, I had tons of people I was really close friends with in high school and then I never saw again. So it's like going off and doing that. Then you have the whole like killing off the family dynamic. Well, that's it's saying goodbye to your family. You're no longer living at home. You're an adult. You're moving out. So it was all about growing up. It was that's what the movie was about to me. And you look at To Jennifer. To Jennifer is about well, I can't really talk about what it's about until you see the movie because it would give away the movie. But hate crime is all about how people can. It's about racism, and it's about how people can judge others and not look at themselves when they're doing horrible things. And it's also about how you can literally compartmentalize in your mind, this person next to me is my friend and a human who I care about, but this person is not even a human. And it's that psyche, getting into that mindset and seeing how somebody could truly do that, how something like the Holocaust could happen. Because I'm completely against that, and I think nobody should judge anybody unless they're hurting others. If you're not hurting somebody else, everybody should be allowed to live their life the way they want to without judgment. And 13 is all about what is crazy and what does crazy mean. And the whole thing is based on my birthday. I was born February 29th, leap year. And so the whole thing is like about how I feel like I'm the only person in the world who's not crazy because everybody tells me I'm crazy. And so the most crazy person in the world is the person who's sane when everybody else is crazy. And that's what the whole thing's about. It's about like, when you're in a world where everybody's batshit crazy, you're forced to do crazy shit because you're actually in turn probably crazy. And so it's really like, what is crazy? Who defines crazy? And how do you really define what crazy is? Because a crazy person never thinks that they're crazy.
Yeah, I will go with that. I like that. I like that concept. That's a really fantastic concept. I like that because I mean, a crazy person wouldn't tell you they're crazy. I mean, you look at like I mean, in the real world, if you look like Manson does not think he's crazy. He thinks he's quite sane, and everything he does is on the level. So, how do you decide that he's crazy, even though the fact that the rest of the society goes, yeah, that's pretty nuts. I mean that's and if you go back in society, I mean, in the world in general, how do you decide what's crazy? Because at one point in time, that might not have been considered crazy. So you just go through the whole world of stuff.
Also, every movie, movies have like cartoonish characters sometimes because like the bad guys in the James Bond films are like, "Mwahaha, I'm bad," but like in real life, and what I try to illustrate in my horror movies is everybody does something for a reason. The bad people in a movie don't think that they're doing something bad. They've justified it. They don't think that they're horrible. They've justified it. So everything is justified and calculated. It's it's all for a reason. Nobody goes into a situation thinking they're bad. Everybody lives as the hero of their own movie.
That's
yeah, right.
very philosophical.
As we all go
through. That's. I think it's been a while since we've
had to use our brain.
We've gone that deep in yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean that's.
The only way that I'll argue is I am fairly certain that Dennis, you have a form of insanity that you're aware of and that you warn people of. I have a form of insanity in myself. I know that technically, according to medical books.
But listen to what you're saying. You're saying according to medical books. These people are defining what insanity is, when insanity could really just be creativity and overactive imagination. You see, like you're allowing society to define who you are when you should be defining who you are. Because we all live within our own world, and we can be what we want to be if we allow ourselves to live.
That's part of what lends itself to my particular blend of crazy is I reject almost everything. It's kind of like a running joke on the show that I'm the one who says fuck that, Mr. Misanthrope, I fucking hate everybody, I hate everything. It's almost like a knee-jerk reaction for me to reject everything outright immediately. I'd usually come around to embrace things later and just not admit that I ever rejected them in the first place. But when you're absolutely right. Even when I know I'm doing something that I shouldn't do, that is wrong for whatever reason, I don't think anybody ever takes that moment to say what I'm doing is wrong. Until after they've done it. And then that was wrong. Fuck, I should have done
they wouldn't do it if they thought they were wrong while doing it.
Talking philosophical is like, what is considered wrong? I mean, if you go with the golden rule, don't do I mean, there's the golden rule, which is just like a societal idea, which was just been passed on for generations and generations of, I don't want you to kill me, so I won't kill you. But is that a bad thing if those people are doing bad things in your eyes? And and in my head now, all of a sudden I'm playing these games of like, well, if I went out and stopped those people from doing things, and I literally just went out and destroyed them or killed them or did what I had to do to stop them, does that make me a bad person? Even though I decided that what they were going to plan to do created.
You're doing bad things for the right reason.
Well, is there such thing as bad people or bad decisions?
Right. Exactly. I mean, how do you? I mean, and at that point, it does it depend on the time when you do it? Does it depend on what society sees as wrong? I mean, now you can play all these games, and that's what.
Why are we a product of our own environment, or do we create the environment that we live in? Some of us are thrust forth into a situation and we have to react. I like to think that I'm the type of person that would be me in any situation, but if I'm on, a boat and it's sinking, how am I going to react? How do I know? How do I know what I would be like? I mean, I could think that, but sometimes animal instinct kicks in.
Yeah,
I was on a sinking boat. I
fully follow that, because the idea of and especially in this day and age when we're trying to be this higher thing where we're using ideas and concepts and being more of a thinking creature. And if we went back to so everything just hypothetically, technology and society as we know just stops dead. What kind of people will we be? Who's going to be the people well, I'm just going to stop, and that means that I'm like the things end, and then all of a sudden I have to be this I don't want to say animalistic, but this more of a strong force, to protect and destroy what comes at me, to make sure what I have is mine.
And that's the kind of energy and ideals and thought process that maybe I don't always agree with, but I like to try and work through the characters in my films, because I put them in those kinds of situations where they have to react to certain things like that. For me, I've studied martial arts since I was I must have been I probably 25, 30 years now I've been doing martial arts, and there's those concepts involved, especially what I do now is the arts I learn now it came from places where it was these, I don't want to say backwater, but it was smaller villages where the village next to us is going to take what we have. So how do we stop that? Well, that means if they come to us, we're gonna have to kill them. That's the only thing, because they're gonna take our stuff. They're gonna rape our wives. They're gonna take our children, and they're gonna take our stuff. So how do we have to be more violent than that? So does that make me a bad person, or does that make me a stronger will to survive? I think those are the questions you can only ask yourself.
Yeah, it sounds funny, but I do it on a daily basis. Would I be willing to go to that point, to take that route? Is a life? Is any life? Huh?
You're having a very deep philosophical moment, and I love it, my friend. But I'm going to interrupt you.
Fucker. Fuck, I was having, yeah, fine, whatever.
Because we have had this conversation on air before between the three of us. Because I do, before we run out of, even before we get close to running out of time.
I honestly think James and I were having this moment. Why did you have to ruin it?
Well, that's exactly why I have.
You bastard!
That's exactly why I have to interrupt you, is because you were having fun.
We could always continue the conversation on Twitter. I mean, if you guys have on Twitter, you could always follow me and tweet me.
I'll come back and go, okay, so what do you think about this? I'll find you.
I'm very active on Twitter. At James Cullen B.
I'll find you. We'll find us so we can keep going.
You're one of probably three people that relatively daily crack me up. Whether it's something that you retweet or something that you tweet, as far as you're tweeting to a friend, because Twitter has this weird thing where now almost everything that somebody tweets, whether it's for everyone's timeline or just directed at one person, Twitter just seems to say, everybody needs to have this tweet. But you and two of my favorite artists are authors, not artists. Authors crack me up almost daily, if not several times a day. It's like a rotating schedule of who's gonna be funny this time that I check Twitter.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm happy to bring a smile into somebody's life, daily. So that makes me feel like I'm not annoying for tweeting too much.
And the thing that amazes me the most, especially on your Twitter, is you have an army of followers. You don't just have you don't have 70, you don't have 101,000 bots. You have an army of actual Twitter followers who interact with you. That's amazing to me, because we still haven't broken 150 yet. So,
Well, I'm very fortunate that my fans like interact with me, and I try to keep it. It becomes almost like a full-time job though, like responding to them because I get a lot of responses. So I try to. If I favorite a tweet, it means I read it. So I favorite every tweet I read, and then I try to respond to, a couple tweets per time I tweet. I can't respond to every response because sometimes I get like 100 of them, so it'd be a full day of responding. But I at least read all of them.
and that's what I've enjoyed about the interaction I've had personally with you on Twitter, because I'm in charge of the Twitter handle that got you on the show.
Yeah.
Is you're relatively when it comes to the bigger names, even if it's more celebrity, there are only a handful of people who actually interact and let you know, hey, I saw this, or hey, you asked me a question, here's the answer. Like when I asked you when we could schedule you to be on the show, it was a couple of hours and you responded immediately. And that immediately is relative term, but you responded, and I appreciate the fact that even though you have a schedule that doesn't always allow you to be on the same time, like I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I have a set 10-hour day, and that's my day. You have a different schedule. You're going to shoot at night, you're going to shoot in the morning, you're going to shoot in the afternoon. You'll be in the cutting room, you'll be talking to this person, you'll be talking to that person, but every time that I've contacted you, you've at least let me know that you saw it. And that's something that I can appreciate, being that I try to be somewhat active on our Twitter.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that, and I try to be good about that because I know, I put myself in that position, and I'm very fortunate to have any fans. And I know that, me being a film fan, growing up as a film fan, if I contacted one of my filmmaker idols through Twitter or any filmmaker that I like, I would love if they responded to me. And I still contact people through Twitter, and I'd love if they respond to me. I mean, actually, Tony Jaa and I became friends through Twitter. He challenged me to a Mortal Kombat fight because I'm always tweeting about how much I love Mortal Kombat.
Hopefully it's not in real life. I think that'd be a bad idea.
No, in real life I'll die.
Yeah, technically
it'll be
only
fatality,
have one chance.
flawless.
Yeah, it'll be a flawless victory. Flawless victory.
I'd love to take him on, just cause. You know me.
Well, Dennis, you'd love to take on anybody.
Yeah, we've had this discussion. I'll fight anybody. I don't care. I'll give it a shot.
Craig,
Fight the bunny behind you. It's attacking.
The bunny? That's Charlie. That's Charlie the bunny, and that's Steve the gnome. So they hang out with me and just. Yeah, I know it's weird, but whatever. They're my friends. They've been here forever.
I'm just waiting for one to come to life.
No.
It's oh shit, they're watching. Toy Story is real.
The ironic story is Steve's been with me for almost 20 years, and he's always, for some reason, I had to get rid of the fish in his hand because he smelled like fish. So I had to, I had to go. So.
Craig, do you remember the what you were going to ask 20 minutes ago before
Nope.
Dennis cut you off again?
Nope.
I do what I do. You just shut your faces, all right?
Oh, I had a whole Twitter conversation with Hank and Travis about it.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Before, like I said 10 minutes ago, before Dennis hijacked me again, before we run out of time, I want to talk about.
Shut up.
I want to talk about the last couple and the next couple of your movies, mostly because I haven't had the chance to sit down and watch them yet. Starting at, because IMDb confuses me at times, whereas I feel like Hate Crime just came out.
No, I made that in 2012.
Yeah, the life that I lead doesn't leave me exactly conscious all
I
the
think
time.
also
So,
IMDb just kind of does what it does.
yeah, and IMDb is confusing as hell. So I try not to do too much research on
Well,
IMDb.
what they do, Travis, is they put the movies in chronological order according to their release date.
Yeah, that's
I
one
realize
thing. Like
that.
sometimes my movies, like I'll make a movie and then it comes out like a year later. Like Pernicious, I made a year ago, and it's playing the festival circuit. So once it's done with the festival circuit, which is a year of festivals, then it comes out
Right.
for everybody else to see.
So Pernicious won't be on video on demand, DVD, Blu-ray, any of that stuff for
Probably
another
till
year.
Halloween. It'll be Halloween, like
Wow.
October.
Oh, okay.
Does that aggravate
I
you
never
all?
understood.
Hold on a second. Does that aggravate you at all when you're doing these films and you gotta like before other people can see it? Because like you're doing this circuit, it's like shit. None of the people that actually enjoy what I do will not see it for like a year or so. Does that like it's kind of go?
It is a little irritating. Like I wish Pernicious was out right now. I wish everybody could see it because like that's it's the movie I've done that I'm the most proud of. So I wish everybody was watching this one right now because it's just a fun movie. We shot in Thailand. It looks great. I don't know if you guys saw the trailer, but it's a crazy, flipping, fucked up trailer. So
Well,
we have people ripping out people's
I'll look
eyes
it up
and shit.
and I'll be ready for it. I'm already excited for half the stuff you do. And like I said, I'm not a horror guy, so I'm all excited because with speaking with you, I'm like, I don't watch horror, but you know what? I'll watch some horror films. Let's just do this. So
Thanks, man.
you're welcome.
I gained another Twitter follower.
Hey.
And Dennis is not very active on Twitter at all. Dennis
Oh.
Dennis is our Facebook guy.
I'm not even
He
that.
likes it.
I'm kind of a Luddite. I'm not gonna lie.
He doesn't have to do
don't-
Facebook anymore because I've automatically set it up so it's automated. So when it posts, it goes out to Facebook.
Yeah, I'm a Luddite. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a Luddite. It's just how I am. It's there. I get it. It is what it is. I'm not a technological advanced guy.
The least active when it comes to the promotion of the best time of your week. But that's for another show.
I physically, I don't do it online. I physically look people in the face and tell them, okay, because I can put it online. No one's gonna give a flying fuck what I say. But if I look in your eye and tell you what's going on, it's a different story. I've realized that now. It's like with networking, it's better to tell someone right to face than just put it out there because most people go, whatever. And it's better to just, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that every person that I've told in person about the podcast has basically just said, "Yeah, no, I'm not doing it."
Again, and let's go back to that. You told them. Let's just say that it wasn't me.
True, but before you derail me too much further, Dennis.
Beautiful, most wonderful, fantastic, great guy.
We have a guest on, so I want to get back to James.
Mom, Dad, please stop fighting.
That's how I feel constantly.
This is kind of how it rolls every week. You just kind of gotta, just roll with the punches.
You had the made-for-TV movie Blood Lake: Attack of the Killer Lampreys. That was for Was it Nat Geo?
Animal Planet.
Or Animal Planet. Yeah, I knew it was one of the two animal-specific TV
Nat
channels.
Geo is totally not animal.
Nat Geo, well, no, because I guess it's not, because they have
You've
they have
been talking
hacking
about this
systems.
forever. You know who's on Nat Geo, right? Brian Bushwood.
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, whatever, shut up. So and Pernicious is coming out as soon as it comes out. You hopefully around Halloween time, which is a perfect time for horror movies, gory movies, anything that's got blood, guts, or courage, really, because you get over the superhero movies, which I do enjoy the superhero movies, and the super summer blockbusters. But I will be watching Pernicious as soon as it comes out. What is on the docket next for you? What can we expect? You talked about the drama and the children's story. Can you give us
a drama called Limelight? I'm shooting a drama called Limelight in June, and it's basically kind of like Entourage with a lot of like narcissism laced in. It's like the underbelly of the Hollywood scene. It's very interesting. Very excited to do it. It's definitely a festival-y type piece. And then I'm directing a horror movie that I co-wrote with my business partner Zach Ward, who he's a known actor and director and writer. And I'm directing this movie called Bethany, and that'll be the first of 2 movies for Zach and my new production company called Grit Filmworks. And that's filming back-to-back with a movie called Restoration, which I co-wrote and Zach is directing. And both of those are horror movies that should be coming out early next year.
Zach Ward, he played. Hold on, give me a second. Let me think about it. Zach Ward, he was. Give me a second. Hold on. He played the bad kid in the Christmas Story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also worked with. Oh shit! What's his name?
I have an
Titus.
action figure of him right here.
Yeah.
That's him.
Exactly.
That's him.
Yeah. I know who he is. He's also actually a really good martial artist, from what I understand.
Yeah. He was on the cover of Black Belt magazine.
Yeah. I knew who he was.
And he was in Postal.
Yeah, he was the main guy in Postal.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
Postal guy.
And he was in Blood Lake, Attack of the Killer Lampreys.
Nice.
Yeah,
Which is
I knew
on
it.
Netflix right
I'm
now,
like,
so you should check it out.
killing me. Zach Ward. I know that name. Hold on a second. It was because of Black Belt. That's how I knew him. You might know him from Postal, but whatever. Black Belt way more for a guy like me. So.
Well, I knew him from Christmas Story. I've seen
That's
that.
where I would know him from.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the more famous ones. He also did. Oh God, who's the stand-up comedian?
Christopher
Titus.
Titus.
Are we talking?
Titus. Yeah. He was in the television show Titus. He was his brother.
Are we talking about other people, or are we talking about our guest?
We're talking about.
It has a
No, we're
loose
talking-
connection to
Let's
him.
talk about these other people's body of work and not our guest body of work.
Hold on a second there. Hold on a second there. We're talking about his partner who's doing all the stuff that we actually happen to know. Let's just leave it at that. And so, just shut your face. All right.
You're
Dennis,
a soft
the way you
target
said
right now,
that-
Dennis. I have to take it when I
Travis, you can just go into your little cave and behind you there and just sit. How's that sound?
Do you have a website or anything that you can throw out to the people?
My website
for
is
your new production company?
My website is jamescullenbressac.com, or you can look me up at James Cullen Bressac on IMDb, or follow me on Twitter at JamesCullenB.
Do you have anything set up for your new the startup under your production company?
We will soon.
I'll have to keep my eyes peeled on that because that's something I'll definitely keep a watch on. Fellas, anything else that you would like to drone on to our guest about?
No, that's all right. Because now that you're giving me a whole ton of shit, I don't want to talk anymore.
Dennis, do you want to spill your heart out again?
I had some great things I could have went the whole philosophical. We could have went like this whole philosophical, like deep thoughts, but no. Travis had to cut me fucking short.
Wait.
No, what? Done.
Yeah, my name's Sad, and I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
Hopefully, I can convince James to come back on and we can have that deep philosophical discussion.
I would love that. James, please come back on because I love talking with you and getting into that idea of like what's considered crazy and actually talking about it before Travis cuts me off. That'd be really great. Just to actually have an intelligent conversation, asshole.
I'm sorry. I wanted to talk about the man's body of work and not your deep philosophical drunken.
To get a guy,
your drunken philosophy.
this show. You're about a fucking 1,000 miles away from me right now.
Thanks, Craig. James, it is as we move on to wrapping this up, I want to give you a huge amount of thanks for putting up with my multiple requests for you to come on the show and bothering you repeatedly throughout this week through email. it has been, without blowing too much smoke up your ass, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you and getting to learn more about the work that you do and work that you will continue to do. Was there anything else that you would like to tell the listeners, what few listeners that we have for sure, before we give the final wrap-up?
Yeah, go out there. If you want to make a movie, go out there and make a movie. It's what I did. I mean, write the script for whatever budget you have. Do it for what you know you can accomplish. And, I mean, I made a movie on an iPhone 5, so you don't have to have a lot of equipment. Do something and get out there and do it. And then from there, try and raise your budgets. But, the only roadblock you'll ever face is your own mind. So don't let your mind stop you from doing what you love and what you want to do. And thank you so much for having me on the podcast. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, and
thank you for the rest of us. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of a ass. I don't know what else to say. I'm just an ass.
I want to wish you the best of luck on your trip to Thailand. When you do have the next thing coming out, if I don't catch it, shoot us a line. We're more, or if you're just bored on a Friday night and you want to spend an hour and a half with the three of us.
The three. Yeah, you were gonna say three assholes, weren't you? Yeah,
I was
fine. No,
yeah.
That's fine. I'm an asshole. I get it. No. I would love to have him back. Craig, you haven't said anything all night. You just keep it.
I've been quiet because I
talking to the
haven't.
sound.
Yeah, I've been live tweeting the whole episode.
Yeah.
It's been when's Dennis gonna shut up? Is he gonna shut up? Is he still drunk?
No, but I am. Huh? I wish I was drunk again. Give me some time. I haven't drank enough. Anyways, it's only been like 7 hours. We got to keep going.
But James, thank you so very much. And again, anytime, drop us a line if you're willing to put up with us again.
Yeah, even if you just want to come and hang out and talk shit. I mean, make fun of Travis. We got to do what we got to do. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, just hit me up and ask. And you guys should probably ask Zach Ward if he wants to be on there. I'm sure he'd love to come on.
That would be fantastic. I would love to talk to Zach Ward about his kung fu stuff. Or his
Tweet him at Total Zach Ward.
Travis, get on
Total
that.
Zach Ward?
At Total Zach Ward.
Yeah, and James, put in a good word for us. How's that sound?
I will.
Oh, you always got to kind of get that bump. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you should talk to these guys. I love to spend an hour and a half. I don't give a flying hell about these other two, but Zach and I could talk about martial arts forever.
I can talk about Christmas Story and things around Hammond, Indiana.
What about Hammond? What?
Just things around it, Gene Shepard, all the good stuff.
Yeah, the whole things. Yes, we got it.
So next time I'll bring a bottle of whiskey and I'll just get really drunk the whole time.
That's right. We can all drink together and just be a group thing. We all, usually if we're by ourselves, we all drink anyways. But today, I was the only one to actually be ballsy enough to actually have booze. So,
Whoa.
Travis was drinking a beer too.
Were you drinking, Travis?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
I've drank half this fucking 22 ounce of kind of bad tasting framboise hard apple cider and
framboise. Really?
Because the people who own the house before me
and like half
left it in the fridge.
I mean, what happened?
The people who owned the house before me left it in the fridge, and I ran out of my beer. So that is the explanation for that.
That's why next time we could all have cigars and some like good whiskey or scotch or something.
Yeah.
That's
all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Very, very much. No, we appreciate you coming on and dealing with us.
Hey, Dennis.
Yes, Travis.
Let Craig say goodbye for once. Let Craig say a sentence.
Travis?
Thanks for coming on. It was a good show. I may have looked like I was sleepy, but I was actually on Twitter making fun of Dennis. And
I'll take it.
I was tweeting to our entire fan base, Hank. Hank, thanks for listening. And that's the end of the show. Bye.
Bye.